to the cloud, and then good afternoon. Welcome to today's program from the Newark Public Library's Special Collections Department. NPL at Home, LGBTQ Resources is another one of our programs marking Pride Month. Before we get started, I just wanted to encourage you all to fill out your census forms. Filling out the census is one small but very important thing everyone can do right now to help our city and our communities. If you haven't done so yet, please go to my2020census.gov and fill out the brief questionnaire. The information you provide affects funding for healthcare, transportation, your local schools, and many other needs. Remember, my2020census.gov. It is safe, secure, and confidential. Today, we are going to take a brief look at some of the resources available in our digital archive that explore the LGBTQ experience in Newark and New Jersey. I will share with you some samples of the types of materials that can be used by researchers that are available free to anyone with an internet connection. I want to begin by showing you how to get to the digital archive. The address is digital.npl.org. Digital.npl.org. So let me go to that screen and I'll show you how to do that. First of all, you go to your web browser and you, so you go to digital.npl.org. That will take you to our digital archive. And the digital archive goes back a few years. We created it a few years ago when we got a big grant from the Carnegie Corporation, and we were able to begin digitizing many of our resources. And we began on a different platform than the one you're looking at. We began on a platform run by Content DM. This is an Islandora platform that we're in the process of transferring to. So this platform is not complete, but this is the main page that you would go to for the digital archive. Within the next few months, this will be added to and will be more complete, and you'll be able to see everything here. You're not able to see everything right now. But this is the main page, digital.npl.org. You can explore collections. Click on that. It will bring up a list of collections that are available in the digital archive. Back out to the main screen. You can click on newspapers. You'll see some newspapers that are available through the digital archive. Back out to the main screen. Click on photographs. It will bring up photographs that are available through the digital archive. And lastly, and my favorite page on this is the maps page. If you click on maps, it will take you to this wonderful page that my colleague Beth Zach-Cohen put together about the Newark maps that we have digitized. You can look through the Newark atlases, the Essex County Atlas that we've digitized, various other Newark maps and ward maps. This is a terrific page. We want to go back out to the main page now. And another thing that they have here is not on the digital archive, but it's a link to our website, educational resources that, oh yeah, here it is. Okay. So this is some information about My Newark Story, which was a program that we completed along with the creating the digital archive as part of the Carnegie grant a few years ago. Anyway, so I just wanted to show you how to get to the digital archive. I'm not going to be live today showing you the resources because it's easier for me to do it as a PowerPoint presentation. So that's what I've done. So stop sharing my screen now, and I will instead go to my PowerPoint screen, which is in a different place. Okay, there we go. This is my PowerPoint that I put together about the, oh, sorry, just wait 1 minute. Oh, here we go. There we go. Okay, so this is our program today, NPL at Home, LGBTQ resources. I'm going to show you some of the collections that are particularly rich in resources that appeal to the LGBTQ community, and then some other kind of general things that I came across. And I'm just going to include a few examples here. There are many more resources available if you go to the digital archive. Plus, we also have things that are available if you visit the library in person. but these are just a few examples of things we have available online. Okay, so first of all, the first collection that we have particularly a lot of information about the LGBTQ community is this group that existed in the late 80s and early 90s called the Newark Community Project for People with AIDS. We have a collection of their documents, a collection of things that they've produced, and also collection of documents that they collected that were donated to us several years ago, and we digitized them as part of the Carnegie Grant. So one of the things here is the, let's move myself over here. This is one of their publications called Information Update. They produced this, this is the December 1989 edition, and this will show you some of the things that they were working on. This is only the first page of this particular publication. This is a multi-page publication. I only am including the first page here to give you an example of what is there. But this shows you some of the work that they were doing and some of the information you can get if you're a researcher. It's the Information Update. They also have meeting minutes, minutes of the meetings of the Newark Community Project for People with AIDS. This is the meeting minutes from June 8th, 1988. This group was incorporated in 1988, so this is not long after they were formed. This is their mission statement. They have a copy of their mission statement. This could be interesting for people, for somebody doing research on the group itself, and maybe for research on groups that were working during the AIDS epidemic, and different work they had done. That might help you help somebody doing research on that. This is another publication they put out. It's Update on Current Activities. This is actually just a memorandum, but this is something that went out to various people that had an interest in the group. This is this is another publication that is just, it looks like a notes or a document that was meant for internal use. The New Eden Baptist Church involves Black clergy in HIV prevention efforts. This is undated, but it would have probably been in the late 80s or early 90s too, since it's in this collection. And this shows that there were, kind of some of the concern around the HIV, around HIV and the AIDS epidemic in the late 80s and early 90s. This is not a publication of theirs, but it's in their collection. This is from the National Center for Health Statistics. This is something that someone in the group collected, and that came to us through their collection. So we added it to their collection, and then we digitized it under the Carnegie Grant. This is from March 30th, 1989. This is AIDS Knowledge and Attitudes of Black Americans, which would have been an interest in Newark, a city with a majority Black population. So this is from 1989. This is another publication, again, not one of their publications, but something that they had in their collection, something that someone in the group collected. This is from 1987, an annotated bibliography for librarians on AIDS. This would have been probably in a librarian, probably RSR, I'm not sure what that stands for, but some kind of librarian publication, and it's, I should know what that stands for, but I don't, I'm sorry. But this is a publication that they had in their collection. This could be of interest to someone because they have some information on works that were being produced around AIDS and HIV in the late 80s. This is a flyer that was in their collection. This I just liked because it was colorful, but it's also something kind of interesting. This is from the Black, Gay, and Lesbian Leadership Forum. This is for the Second National Black, Gay, and Lesbian Leadership Conference and AIDS Institute. I don't know the date on this. We could probably figure that out by doing some research, but it's most likely the early 1990s. There was no date on the record. So these are just a few examples of publications that were in this collection from this organization. This is another publication, Essex County AIDS Network Minutes from a meeting from June 6th of 1990. So it looks like something that was done at Rutgers, of course. It has the Rutgers logo at the top. That's kind of interesting. So there were all kinds of groups around that time that were trying to meet the challenge. This is before, the drug cocktails became available around 1996 or so. So it was, in the 80s and early 90s, AIDS was still kind of a scary thing. And so there were a lot of people working on trying to raise money and also trying to help people who had the disease or who were sick. This is a fact sheet from the AIDS Prevention Program for Teens from the American Red Cross. So this is a publication that the American Red Cross put out in 1988. It's another publication from that collection. So that was that collection. That group, the Newark Network for AIDS. I forget the exact name of it, but that was from that collection. Now we have another collection. Hilda Hidalgo was an activist, and she, our Hispanic Research and Information Center has a collection of documents from her, have a collection of her papers. And one of the things that she collected were buttons. She collected these buttons that would, people would put on their shirts or their lapels of their jackets. And many of them have to do with LGBTQ issues. I'm including a few of them here just because I think they're fun and they're colorful, unlike some of the other things we have in our collections. So these are a few of her, a few of the buttons from the Hilda Hidalgo collection that have that are on LGBTQ issues. This one is one of my favorites. It's two purple statues of liberty holding hands. Unfortunately, all of these buttons are undated, so we don't know when they were actually produced or where she got them or where they came from. My impression was she just collected these things and threw them in a box, and then when her papers came to us, these buttons came along with them. But these are, this is kind of an interesting thing. I just think this is funny and cute. This is a good one, encourage lesbianism. I'm sure there are several people who may watch this eventually who kind of like that idea. So that's again an undated button. I'd like to know where it came from, what organization turned it out, but unfortunately we don't have any information on that. This is another nice one that I like, heterosexism can be cured. This is something, support gay teachers, probably from some educational organization. There's an apple with a lambda on it in the middle, support gay teachers. And this is another one that I like, homophobia with a red slash through it. I'm not quite sure what those black splotches mean on the side, but there was no explanation for what those were supposed to mean. Again, I don't know what organization this is from. Just these buttons are kind of fun, and there are many more in the Hilda Hidalgo collection, Hilda Hidalgo button collection, that you can look at online that you might also find interesting. Next week, July 6th at 1 p.m., my colleague Huber Ayala will be doing a full presentation on the Hilda Hidalgo button collection. So if you want to know more about this collection, you should tune in next week at 1 p.m. And watch Huber's presentation. And he knows a lot more about this collection because it's in the Hispanic Research and Information Center, which is the department of the library where he works. So you might, if you want to know more about this collection, tune in next Monday at 1 p.m. All right, so we also have some information for LGBTQ people in our Newark City Documents Collection, which surprised me a little bit, but we actually found a fair amount of material in there. I'm just including a few examples here. This is a recent document, a school superintendent's report from June of 2018. And I think I misspelled superintendent. I think it's ENT on the end. That was my fault, sorry. This is from June of 2018. This is a page from the school superintendent's report in 2018 about creating more inclusive schools. And one of the items in the end of year highlights was an LGBTQ event held at the Newark Museum. So this is kind of interesting to see what the schools were interested in, what the schools were working on at a given point in time. And this is kind of interesting that they do have, or they're aware of LGBTQ issues, and they're doing at least someone there is doing work to address the needs of students, LGBTQ students. This is a page from a Newark Housing Authority annual plan in 2019. At the bottom, this is just one page of a multi-page report. At the section on the bottom, 2.7 Violence Against Women Act, they list, the NHA has revised its policy in accordance with the recently reauthorized Violence Against Women Act in order to provide safety and structure to victims of domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, and stalking. VAWA protects the following, and they list people who are protected by that act, and included there are lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgendered individuals, LGBT individuals. It's kind of interesting if you're doing some research, that would be kind of something that would come up on our digital archive, and we may have this is from a Newark Housing Authority plan. So that's also interesting to somebody who lives in public housing or who's trying to help people in public housing. This is from a newsletter from the Newark Housing Authority. I'm just putting this over. This is from 1991. There was just a brief item about the NHA contributes to AIDS research through New York Dance-a-thon. Dana Roan, who worked for the Newark Housing Authority at the time, took place in a dance-a-thon where she raised money for the gay men's health crisis for AIDS research. She raised $537 in this dance she took part in back in 1991. This is from the Health Department annual report from 1989. Again, AIDS Education Prevention Bureau. I know a lot of these documents deal with HIV. I think because a lot of these documents date from the 80s and early 90s. It was a time when that was a real focus of people's attention, and that's I think why so many of these documents deal with AIDS and HIV. So this was from the Health Department annual report from 1989. This is a bit about the AIDS Education and Prevention Bureau. In response to the HIV/AIDS crisis, the Division of Community Health has launched an attack on myth, fear, and ignorance, and that details what this program is about. So those are the three main collections, specific collections that have some LGBTQ plus material. We have some other items in various points around the in various digital collections. This comes from the Newark Broadsides collection. It's from 1985, and it has to do with this. It's this flyer from Lesbians and Gays of Rutgers, Newark. Just shows when they met and some of the proposed topics they talked about. This could be interesting for somebody doing research on Rutgers, for somebody doing research on gay people in the 80s, LGBTQ people in the 80s in Newark, all kinds of things. That's just one thing I came across from the Newark Broadsides collection. We've digitized several community newspapers, and this is a page from the City News, which was an African-American paper in Newark in the 80s and 90s and into the early 2000s, I think. This is an article from June 16th of 93. This is a page from the June 16th, 1993 issue. There's an article on this page, Don't Ask, Don't Tell, because it's nobody's business. This is an opinion piece. As the Clinton administration was beginning to initiate the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy for the American military. This is an opinion piece that appeared in this paper, City News. Also, another article from City News from 2000. This is a movie review of a movie. I'm not really familiar with what the movie. I can't remember the name of the movie again, but this was a movie review that came out, LGBTQ issues, and they included a movie review in the paper that day. This is a paper that is in our Hispanic Research and Information Center, La Tribuna de New Jersey. This is an article about the Gay Games from June 4th of 1994. Gay Games is like an Olympics with LGBTQ athletes. This is from the Maria Vizcarrondo papers, which is also a collection in our Hispanic Research and Information Center. This is a status report on Hispanic initiatives from August 1st of 93. And one of the issues deals with the spread of AIDS. And the second paragraph here on this page deals with the AIDS epidemic and LGBTQ people. And that is it. That's not a very long presentation, I know. I just wanted to go through a few items that we had on our collection. And so I'm just, that's just a small sampling of what's available. You can see more if you visit digital.npl.org. You can find out more about the Hilda Hidalgo button collection if you tune in to this at the same time, 1 p.m. next week. My colleague Huber Ayala will do a presentation on that. And yeah, and Kristen, I see you commented on the Hilda Hidalgo collection. I know you worked in HRSC for a while, so you may have worked with that collection. So you may have looked through them. Okay, well, thank you very much for being with us. If you want to know more about any other programming produced by Newark Public Library, just go to our website and look at the calendar. That's at npl.org/calendar. Thank you very much for joining me today. Be safe, everyone.